Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We just got raided. Hang on. Let's just get things started here. We don't need to wait around anymore. Let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it might be in your part of the world. Where's the button?
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It's so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is March 6th, 2025, and we're going to write a little bit of code today. We got a raid. Big thanks to TBD Gamer. Go ahead, take a look at the hat. You can do the hat, thank God. There's the hat. It's right there. It knows what it is. It's going to do the thing and get back to you and tell you exactly what's going on with the hat. Here it comes right there in chat. We're broadcasting live on Twitch and YouTube, so wherever you are, you can tune in. You can join us as we're going to talk about tech today. We're going to write some code. We're going to have some fun with .NET Aspire. It's going to be a great stream. Big thanks to TBD Gamer for the raid, getting us started. There you go. You see the mention of what the hat is. It's the Ravenclaw Pride hat. There you go. Thank you so much for the raid. Let me get started. Let me greet folks here. Let's scroll through the list of chat there. Hello, Null Sheffa with a big wave. C Sharp Titan says, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Great to see me online. Missed me. Hope that I'm doing okay. Greetings from Melbourne, Australia." We're doing fine. I had to take off on Tuesday. My daughter was having car problems, and she's halfway across the state, so she needed a ride because she was going to a job interview. But it was back here, so can't exactly take an Uber halfway across the state. So drove out and took care of all of that. And we're waiting to hear details on the car still. So, keeping our fingers crossed. But that statement there reminds me of a feature I've been working on for Project Charlie. We'll talk about that in just a little bit there. Deflux with the big woo on the coming in on the raid. Billy Cool with the wave. TBD had a great stream working on his Agile software platform. I got to learn more about this. That sounds really cool. Thanks for sharing. And really appreciate the raid. Juan Van, start is up. Yeah, we're getting started here. Let me see here. Lucy's here. Hello. Lucy had a pull request for us that we're going to take a look at today. Greetings to you from, is that Northeast Pennsylvania? Got to drive the rollback on Monday morning. Moving a few cars around. So frustrating. Let me get some music playing in the background here. And where did hello? No. Spotify quite literally seems to have disappeared. There it is. There we go. Developers. Thank you so much. Is it I don't know how to pronounce it. Anik name? Hello, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Let me get some music playing in the background here. And we'll talk about some of the things that are going on. We'll get into some stuff. This is the Stream Beats Synthwave playlist. Scroll down somewhere here a little bit. Sure, I don't know. This is called Odin's Revenge. This is music that's DMCA free. It's royalty free. Listen to it wherever you'd like. Check it out at streambeats.com. They've got playlists for Spotify, for Amazon Music. Big thanks to them for making this music available that we're listening to today. Any news on the visor glasses? Nothing yet. According to the website, they're all the Founders Edition ones are going to be delivered in March. Nobody says they've received them yet, but based on that disclosure to their investors, we're expecting to see it this month. Expecting. So let me back up. Let me get to the first thing. Oh, good to have some coffee. So C Sharp Titan, further up here, it has a greeting that many folks have, and even Juan Van got into it a little bit there. When folks join the stream and say, "Hey, how's it going? I'm watching from. Hey, how you doing? Good morning from." I've always thought it'd be really fun to put those entries on a map. Not a map that carries over from stream to stream, but if if somebody drops in and shares, right? You're sharing. I'm not going to go out and discover this, but if you share, hey, I'm watching from, or, how you doing there? There's, whatever in this location. It'd be fun to put that on a map.
W1
Wise
Silver
Otter.
just resubscribed for 19 months.
Thank you so much. 19 months with us. I really appreciate that support. So what I've been building is a map. I've been building a map using OpenStreetView, using Blazor, and connecting that to chat. So that when folks say things like, greetings from Melbourne, Australia. How you doing? How did Juan Van say it? Greetings from NEPA. I read that as Northeastern Pennsylvania. Right? There's a bunch of different ways that folks will stop in, start off chat, and say, hey, how you doing from Philadelphia? Right? Greetings not from Northeast Pennsylvania. Right. It would be fun to put those on a map. I've got the map working. And I need to work on flags. Right now it's circles that it puts on the map. And it's something that I would like to put either over here or over here. When we're doing a chat session like this, when we're doing just chatting interaction, have that map occasionally come up and let you see, hey, there's folks from all over that are watching. I think that's something that would be fun. Greetings from the Chicago Burbs. Where's the coffee? How you doing there, John? I got a cup of coffee in. Right, that's a Yeti, right? Yeah, it's a Yeti cup. Let's see. That they etched Microsoft Azure on. Got the coffee going. And Project Charlie works with both YouTube and Twitch. So I think that'd be really fun to be able to share that. Maybe even put a live version of the map in Discord. Just put a screenshot of it, and whenever there's a couple updates, update the screenshot, something like that. So, that's something that I have it working, and I'm tweaking and tuning the appearance of it right now. I'm pretty happy with how it's responding. So that's going on. The other comments that I wanted to catch up on. So Lucy had a really good pull request, something that wasn't requested, but does what we need to do to help move SharpSight forward a little bit for folks. We're going to take a look at that to get things started here. Have I watched Daredevil Reborn on Disney? No, I haven't watched it yet. We've been a little busy the last few days here with issues with cars and whatnot. So it's on my agenda. We're going to get to that here in the next, probably before the weekend. So, I should also share, as I take care of a quick text message here. Let me see here. Oh, spell it right, Fritz. So, today's my father's 75th birthday. So, big congratulations to him. So, really, really happy for him to make it. Yeah, happy birthday. To make it to 75, man. That's some amazing stuff. How you doing there in South Africa, Carl? Good to see you. What was the car that broke down? It was my daughter's car out at Penn State. So, what what Charlie will do is messages like this one from Carl, hello from location, it would grab that location and plot it on a map that you would see update somewhat live here on the channel. Hey, Phil. Hello. So that, yeah, if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that interactive on-screen toys that folks can play with, interact with from chat, always are a lot of fun.
Squiggly just
Smirking Squiggly.
For 23 months, it pulled up to the platform about 7 or 8, and I yelled to the bugs, "Yo Holmes, smell you later." Looked at the kingdom, I was finally there, to sit on my throne as the Prince of Software, microphone emoji. Nice. Drop that microphone. Smirking Squiggly with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air riff. Very nice. I like what you've done there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that support. 23 months with us. Thank you. Yeah, 75th. Tell them happy birthday from everybody. Will do. Absolutely. So, Mom and Dad might actually be tuning into the stream here in a little bit. So, so there's a couple things that we want to talk about. We want to dive into with SharpSight. We only have one pull request to look at today, and this hits home in a great way because Lucy put together some stuff to make it easier for folks to join and get started contributing with the project. For open source projects that are on GitHub, this is such a no-brainer idea. This is such a great idea to make it easier for folks to get the right tools, the right extensions, the right editors configured, up and running to be able to participate. So let's start off taking a look at that, and then we'll get into some of the other code that we've been writing around getting started and launching your own copy of SharpSight. Hey, Napalm, good time zone to you. Let me head over to the code and we'll start talking this through. It's right over here. So we're looking at SharpSight. This is, I'll share the pull request link here in chat so everybody can click through and take a look at it. Of course, we're working on SharpSight. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link to the source code just below. I'll put a project link here in Twitch. We are adding features to SharpSight. And of course, SharpSight is being built with Blazor, with .NET Aspire. We're starting off working with Postgres here. And there we go. And I'll have that pinned. So now in chat, you can run the project command, or it's pinned there to the top of chat. So request for comment. This was added by Lucy. Add extensions JSON, for Visual Studio extension recommendations. Makes perfect sense here. Create a draft PR to gather feedback on whether we should do this, and if we do want this, decide upon the appropriate extensions to recommend. Titan just
C# Titan with the resub. 7 months with us.
Always happy to learn from you, Jeff C# Wave.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. 7 months with us, and you kicked off a hype train. 4.5 minutes to go to get the level 2 on the hype train. Thank you. So what this little block of code does is it will recommend various extensions for you to install when you open the project using Visual Studio Code. So it'll recommend C# Dev Kit, Editor Config, GitHub Actions, PowerShell. C# Dev Kit, we know what that is. It's a plugin that enables C# development. Editor Config sets up and configures editor recommendations, formatting that are kind of standards to our project. GitHub Actions, of course, so we can
build and tune and tweak our automated processes that run on GitHub. And of course, PowerShell, because we have some PowerShell scripts that you may want to edit and run inside of Visual Studio Code. So purposely added each as a separate command. I'm okay with all of these being here. I think these are great. Hey there, the Neo. Frank, welcome in. And I commented, I thought this was great. And I think we should probably do something to set up so you can work in dev containers as well. So we'll take a look at that. And I mentioned that I was going to review this on stream. So this extensions JSON file, this is kind of makes sense. You put it in a VS Code folder, extensions JSON, and there's a format here. You put recommendations that say, here's the IDs of the extensions that we recommend you have running. And when you start up the project, it will recommend, if you're missing any of these, to go install these. So, really good stuff. And merging it into the main branch, because this is something that really isn't coupled to our current release. So, I would like to merge this in. I think this is a fantastic idea. So I'm going to mark it ready to review. There's nothing to actually build and work on here. Yeah, PowerShell on Linux. That's a thing. Yep. Gamma says, asks, as a DevOps guy, how much of C# should I study? I work in a Microsoft environment. Get the basics down. The basics of language and formatting, so you can at least read the language, get into a little bit of how configuration works. And that would be like the minimum I would suggest. Anything further than that is up to you. So, but yeah, you can run PowerShell on Linux, absolutely. So let's just merge this in. So, all good there. And let's also all contributors. Please add Lucy as a contributor for code. So that's going to add Lucy to our list of contributors, right? Yeah. So we should get a extra pull request created and a comment. There you go. So I'm okay with this being merged into the main branch, and then I'll bring it back into the 07 and push that forward. There you go. And let's go grab that other doc merge to add Lucy. So, yep. Adds a reference in the avatar. So, yep, that's going to get merged into main. No problem there. And we'll delete that extra branch. Cool. So in our main branch, we have our VS Code folder with the extensions JSON. And if we scroll down to look at the list of contributors, there's our friend Lucy now as part of the group. So very cool stuff. And I'll get that merged over into the 07 branch. We'll just do that real quick. 4 commits behind. Yep. Because it's a README, adding some contributors. Not a problem. Yep. Updating with docs merged to main. So, all of these are docs updates. There's not really anything to build there. So, no conflicts, good. Do I want to do a... I don't want to do a squash. I just want to do a straight merge. If I did a squash, it would lose these and we'd have a little bit of a mess merging back and forth. So now over in our 07 branch where we're working on the latest updates, it's all up to date with everything from the main branch. Let me catch up with chat here. You're trying to run .NET on Cursor, which is a VS Code fork. Microsoft does not allow to use debugging. The debugger is not licensed for anything except for Visual Studio Code. Have I tried Cursor and know how to resolve this issue? You're not allowed to run the debugger, the Microsoft debugger, outside of Visual Studio Code. So, no, it's not supported on VS Code forks. There is a license out there that is very clear on that it's not allowed. So that's unless the Cursor folks are going to attempt to negotiate and acquire a license to run the debugger, you're not going to see that happen. So, yeah, Deflux with a good comment here. Don't be discouraged if well-meaning colleagues are writing hard-to-read code. Let me go back and we'll catch up on chat here. Yeah, this is something. There's a thing that happens in technology, and it's not specific to .NET. As folks get further along in their career, develop a little bit more interesting colors in their beards. Covert Gravy, welcome. They like to write more hard-to-read code. They like to write more intricate, fancy code that can be more difficult to understand. That's not you. That's them. That's them not being, not creating code that's easy for the next person to read. That's a little bit of a code smell. That's a little bit of that's a little bit of an issue with them, not you. So don't be afraid to ask them to help clear things up that you might not understand. You might get into web dev. Very cool. Hey, Abdullah, still with the Microsoft? Yes. C# Titan asking, what are my thoughts about using GitHub Copilot in organizations? My friend said that his company has banned Copilot as it's a form of cheating, and the code is not written by the developer. Cheating? Cheating? Is this a race that we're being graded on? You're being judged on? Is it a competition that you're not allowed to use tools to help with? I don't see an issue with it at all. I really don't. If having a machine suggest code to you is cheating, I've been using IntelliSense since the 90s. And that suggests code to you as you type things, right? Type ahead completion. There's a school of thought that since the 90s has said that in IntelliSense, type ahead code completion is cheating. Is that cheating? Is that something developers shouldn't do? Do you want to write all of your code using Notepad or VI with no extensions, no plugins to help you write code better, faster, make recommendations, help you optimize and write more performant, more secure code first? Okay. Having the machine check and encourage you to use better formed structures and code first, instead of building, deploying, and letting somebody, maybe even a customer, find that issue after deployment. Is that cheating? Is that the way it should be? Or does that put egg on the face of your company? Is that embarrassing? Yeah, that is very ego-driven. If that's a problem for that organization to to start using the computer, the processor, to help you write better code, I would suggest there's other things wrong there about their ethics, about their desire to modernize and grow software. There's something else going on there that I would be questioning. What's driving that emotion? Because there's something else going on there. You have the copyright issue that might make you ban AI tools, or the security issue. So copyright absolutely is a thing. You're not going to see that with Copilot, because they declare they've tuned it down so it's only using publicly available, publicly licensed code. Everybody believes they write keep it simple code. I think so. I think with SharpSite, we've done a pretty good job with some of that. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. Ice cream stick model, hello. Yeah, IntelliSense is cheating. Any kind of type-ahead code completion. And there are folks who have a ton of plugins in editors like Vim and Emacs to add that feature. Is that cheating? Did they block Google too? Yeah. Gosh. You wrote quite interesting code when you were 30, but I firmly believed it was the easiest possible way to achieve the properties I felt. Others didn't agree. I think there's something to be said about interesting code versus readable code. Your code can be interesting and readable. And that, in my mind, is what's important. Ads have kicked in for the next 2 minutes, so subscribers only have the fully unleaded Fritz here. Let's see here. Emails now banned. The message is not delivered by a person, right? In schools, writing essays by AI is cheating. That's different. That's different. In schools, you're supposed to be proving what you've learned. You're supposed to be showing, here's my opinion, here's my perspective on the question, filling out an essay. So yes, you should be writing that yourself to show what you've learned. Totally agree with that. In the job market, in the business world, asking for help with something is not cheating. There is no cheating. There's cheating on your taxes. There's lying to your investors. That's cheating. But they don't care if you're getting help to build your product. You're getting help to build your product. Did you deliver the product? Is the product selling? That's what they care about. It's not unethical to get assistance. It's a pity about the .NET debugger because communities around other languages using Cursor or similar are growing, and so the popularity of a new IDE. No. There are times when I need to be careful about what I say as a Microsoft employee. And I can positively tell you that the debugger is not free for other folks to use. In Cursor, could be better approach for programming. Cursor, you've exactly made the point that Microsoft has to decide on. Cursor is a fork of Visual Studio Code. Microsoft makes Visual Studio Code. You're asking, why doesn't Microsoft make one of its most important pieces of software, the debugger, available for a competitor to use? Versus, as you're saying here, making some of those features that are in Cursor available in native Visual Studio Code. Which they have done with GitHub Copilot. Because GitHub Copilot is now free for everybody to use. So, and it does have multiple AI provider support. Yep. So, take a look back at Visual Studio Code because they're moving quickly, and there's even more new features coming with Visual Studio Code here in the next week or so. Wearing glasses must be cheating. Put 6 developers in a room and ask them to solve the same problem. I bet they'll all write their code differently. Totally agree. Writing code is the intersection of engineering and art. Am I not just using Notepad with any code suggesting features or code highlighting features to help you? I call cheats. Right. Do you write all your code on the whiteboard? Deflux says, my boss told me to stop watching this stream because I'm educational and helpful. Darn it, Deflux. Everybody, turn the stream off. I am helping you and educating you, and we're learning things together, and that's cheating in business. Turn it off. Nobody watch this. Everybody go away. Turn off YouTube. Stack Exchange, block that at the firewall. Nobody's allowed to go to stackoverflow.com. You're not allowed to go to DevTO, Medium, all of these places where you might go to ask questions. You're not allowed to go there. You know what? While you're at it, can we block learn.microsoft.com? Because there's training videos there, there's tutorials, there's sample code, there's documentation, and reading and learning and getting that assistance is cheating. And none of us should benefit from that amazing wealth of resources that's at learn.microsoft.com that folks have spent thousands of hours building and helping other developers to build and grow amazing applications and systems that have designed and grown entire business lines worth billions of dollars. We shouldn't be doing that. Let's shut it all down, because helping other folks develop businesses and grow the economy and get smarter is just a bad thing. It's cheating. No, we're not going to do that. Are you? No. You only want to use an IDE written in COBOL and Fortran 77 to write C#. Sorry. When do we expect .NET CPU from Microsoft, like M chips by Apple? Just Romagod. We invented a new type of matter and released a processor for quantum. Like, literally a breakthrough in physics to do quantum. How cool is that? How cool is that? So, do we need a .NET CPU? Why? .NET runs on every CPU. We'll see about the new quantum CPU. We're probably a few years away from that being publicly available, but we're getting there. Let the competitors develop their own debugger. Maybe they can come up with ideas on how to do things different or better. That's how product gets better. Exactly, Weirdbeard. If you use a debugger for .NET in a non-Visual Studio tool, that wasn't made by Microsoft. The new Copilot completion, GPT-04 Copilot, is great. I'm going to have to take your word on that, Frank. Is this support for AI and VS Code will also be ported to VS? Yes. It's in Visual Studio also. Yes. School should teach more about using AI. There's a line there that we as a society need to understand and figure out. Because I think there are baselines of education that students should learn themselves before diving into AI. Like, great example. We have a leader in this country where I reside who can't read. Yeah, everybody dropped already. There we go.
Thank you, Covert Gravy. I appreciate you enjoyed the rant. Funny how some bosses think they control your life, right? You call ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, there you go. Unplug your internet, shared knowledge is cheating. Absolutely. Let's all move into a hut in the middle of the woods, and we're going to write our code there. And don't write unit tests either. Lord help you if you have a computer that's checking to make sure that the other code on the computer is valid. Don't write tests. Don't do that. That's cheating. No, it's not cheating. It's an insurance policy. Writing code, writing tests that exercise your code is an insurance policy that you benefit from, and the value of that insurance policy compounds as you write more code. Literally, those unit tests you wrote 6 months ago, a year ago, that still verified that those things that are running at the base of your application are still running the way they expected, the value of them has compounded over time, and now they're some of the most valuable unit tests that you have. That's phenomenal. Feels like something the mayor would say in the TV show The Silo. Yes, Silo is a great show. A friend of ours, our friend Ellieface, has read the books and gone ahead on Silo. I don't know. I'm kind of divided on that, because when you're something that's done the medium shift from book to either a series or the cinema or to Broadway to a play, a musical, something that does that medium shift like that. If you go back to the original material and catch up, read ahead, what have you, I feel like you ruin it for the current medium that you were experiencing it in and you discovered. So, from what you read, the quantum CPU has to be very cool. Well, that's just it. They discovered a new type of matter to help with that. If Copilot is trained with public repos, but how about learned code contains some copy left under licensed code and AI copy paste that kind of code? Is it licensing issue then? This has already been, you can go read the documentation on that. No, it's not a licensing issue. Because in the same way that you're allowed to read that code and infer and write your own code based on what you learned, that's the original intent of that code. Students need to learn how to learn before using much AI. Totally agree, Frank. Blindly using AI-generated code is not good for society. I've had a real problem with that recently in Copilot. I've been attempting to blindly use some of the code that Copilot suggests, and quite frankly, hasn't been the best. Hasn't been the best in my experience. Don't even compile your code before pushing to production. You might find it doesn't work. Well, isn't that what the folks in the JavaScript community do? Like, right? The compiler is cheating. You should just know the syntax. Right. You're saying that the company that keeps hot fixing and putting band-aids on is implying their base code from 10 years ago kind of sucks. Yeah. Yeah. Are we talking quantum CPUs and personal PCs? Not clear yet. Not clear yet. I'm assuming it would be something in a massive controlled data center. What are the benefits? The processing power of the quantum processor is supposedly more powerful than many cloud data centers put together. Supposedly. We're not there yet. Why isn't that audio working? Oh, you know what? This is something that this is something that the browser stops playing, and it's a browser plugin that's playing the sound effects. The browser plugin stops playing sound effects because of there's a setting in it, and it's a privacy thing. I bet that landed. When will Windows be fixed from all bugs?
The same time that Mac OS is fixed from all bugs. The same time that Unix and Linux are fixed from all bugs. It's never going to happen. It's an ongoing, growing, improving ecosystem. Hey, Dan Lupp, thank you so much. Apricot, hello. Yep, it's my Ravenclaw hat. There you go. So, there's another, right? Where'd it go? Where is it? Greetings from Ukraine. That's another one of these. So, right, I mentioned earlier, for the next-gen chatbot that I'm building, that's going to have the hat detection built in here, I've got it building a map so that when folks share information like, right, greetings from Ukraine, it will place a pin on a map that shows here's some of the locations where folks in chat have shared they're watching from. So that's something that I'm really excited to be able to show and make available. Those types of things are, I think, are fun toys, interactive widgets and toys that we can have on stream. So, when our mighty AI fixes Windows from all bugs, yeah, that's not happening. I'll add that. I'll allow that message from Carrix. Current support for Visual Studio for AI is lacking in comparison to Cursor. Hang on. The folks who built Cursor forked Visual Studio Code. There was 10 years of development on that tool before they wrote a line of code. Visual Studio is 25 years old, and it's got a much more complex plug-in system. It takes a little bit longer to get features into Visual Studio because Visual Studio releases quarterly. Visual Studio has a much, much larger code base because it does so many more things. Comparing Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code forks are completely different animals. You wish you could somehow extend AI. You can. You wish AI in Visual Studio would run a build for me or create pull requests with proposed changes or recheck. Visual Studio has that feature. Why do you need AI to create a pull request? Visual Studio has that feature. You can tell it, generate pull request, and you can tell it to generate the commit messages for you. That's already there. That's built in. You get that for free. Yeah. So, is there a C# resource I recommend? You know Rust, but no object-oriented programming. Been watching the course on the Microsoft Developer YouTube, but I feel the instructor is skipping a lot of things. What are you looking for? Like, go to .net, click learn. There's a bunch of tutorials there that take folks from beginner to advanced. But as somebody who already knows languages, right, you clearly want to know a little bit under the covers of some of those features. And a lot of those courses are built for beginners, not for somebody who's coming in from a low-level language and wanting to ramp up on C#. So, what are you looking for there? All right, let me head back over to SharpSite, and let's get back into this. So, Humongous Fungus, how you doing? My goodness, it's great to see you. In Visual Studio AI, I'll not create an AR pull request on its own for changes based on prompt. Why do you need a prompt? It's a button. It's a button. Dude, you are over the top with, I need AI to do this. Dude, push the button yourself. Why are you prompting? Just push the button. It's right there. Get changes. Check it out. There it is. Here's my changes. Right? And
There is pull from, push to, manage remotes. There is, I'm looking at the Git changes. There's a pull request. I don't use the feature in here. But there is a GitHub plugin that'll do the pull request for you and generate the commit message for you. Like, but it can be better. Send them feedback. How do you want it to be better? In the middle of a job hunt? Okay. You don't see a reason for you to push a button. You do know that every time you use AI, you're using more electricity than it takes to charge your phone. You know that, right? Using AI to generate a pull request to do versus just push the button. Like, there's a green thing there happening. So, all right, let's dive back into this. Let me restart the app so we can see where we are and keep moving things forward, because we're building this initial get started page. Oh, geez. We're going to build out this get started, configure, and launch your website set of screens here. Visual Studio Git support for Danlup is amazing, very simple, just slower than command line. Totally agree. I am very much a command line person with Git. I got the my Postgres admin here wired up so it's nested underneath the database here. So, no. So, right, there's our launch screen, and we wanted to start building some of these steps through to get us configured and and launch the website. And we defined an issue for this because I did this last week. Yep, that's all done. Fixed next milestone. So I'm in here working on the out-of-box installation, and one of the issues we had was in the ability to run the end-to-end scripts with the application either being already configured or not. And we've got an X. What did it fail on? This down here. That's fine, because the more recent ones are successful, even running the playwright tests. So I'm okay with that. All right. So in here we did updated to the latest .NET. Yeah, I thought we did a thing in here that allowed us to change the configuration of the site. Right? That was a thing we did. No VS Code. Yeah, new VS Code was released. I don't think I have that version installed. I might have. No matter. So we put in the ability to be able to inject items into application state, including things like, oh, it's already configured. You want to use AI to chain multiple actions. There's no need for human to push buttons. Get back to me next week.
All right, so we've got all of these things out here. And I added a Copilot instructions block here. Always use system text JSON when working with JSON markup. And we can, from, where is it? From here, we added a way, no, it's in the tests. That's where it is. Right? Configure Sharpsite as existing website. Yeah. And we pushed in a series of configurations so that it runs as an existing site. So yeah, the thing you need to understand, Carix, is there's a couple thousand people at Microsoft that work on developer tools. Trust me when I say that they're getting somewhere, and they're going to build and grow things that help their customers, both internal and external. Because one of the largest users of VS Code and Visual Studio is Microsoft. Like, what tools do you think they're building Windows with? What tools do you think they're building Azure with? They're building Office and the M365 stuff with. It's Visual Studio, it's Visual Studio Code, it's .NET, it's all those things. All right, where am I going here? So we set up and provided this capability, which means that when we want to run and do end-to-end tests for our... Am I seeing my camera stuttering here? Is that a thing? Chad, are you seeing my camera stutter as I move and talk here? That feels weird if it is happening. But I don't see it stuttering anymore. Looks good. Okay. All right. So if we're going to run a second set of end-to-end tests that run for the setup experience, we're going to need, yeah, see there, there it's hanging. See it? Or is that just me? It doesn't say I'm dropping any frames, but it looks like the camera isn't doing well here. We're going to need a second running instance so that we can test the live, so we can test the startup experience. Do I know if the solution pane in VS Code can be... No. You can move these wherever you... activity bar position. What? No, move primary sidebar right. There you go. If you want it on the right. Right? I like it on the left because it ends up hiding a bunch of stuff. No, it's not all the time, but it does look like for some reason my camera, and it does it with when I'm streaming, it looks like it hitches. Whatever. So I might need to run a second set of tests that test the startup experience. Well, what does setting up and running a second set of tests look like? I don't know. Because right now it starts up
when the script starts, thinking all this through, right? Because playwrights prove to be a really good asset to help us test and verify the website. It starts the website, it applies all the migrations, so I end up with a clean database and everything. Yeah, right there. If I were to knock it down, restart it, I would have probably a fresh version of the website, but I've got to go through the whole restart process. Let me park that problem for now. Let's park that problem for now. Need a way to end-to-end test the out of the box yeah, I know. We need a way to configure and run playwright tests against the out-of-the-box experience, period. This should allow us to test different configurations, comma, set up different database plugins, and allow us to set up other options to verify that the out-of-the-box experience is working. This is an enhancement. I'd love to get comments on this, because setting this up and running it as a secondary test experience is important, but I'm not quite sure what the best way to do that is. Like we could matrix run a series of tests with our GitHub Actions, right? You can matrix stuff. Could we run as a second option on the matrix? The first one is the existing, hey, the site's already configured and running. The second one is it's a brand new website. Go and exercise it. And maybe that's a separate script that runs. Maybe. We'll come back to that. I don't want to lose momentum working through adding this configuration right now. So, ads are running for the next 40-some seconds, and then we'll get everybody back in here. We have a redemption request for hamsters' voices. Should I really do the hamsters' voices? That's out there for us to take a look at. Oh, I forgot to git pull. Dude. Let me jump over to 07. Yes. Git pull. Cool. Jump back to my working branch. And let's merge that. And git push it. So all that is up to date. All right. So let's dig in. Let's take a look at. Oh, yeah, everything moved because I checked out and reset code here. Yes, reload. That's fine. Do all those things. Blah 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 blah. And we did this whole collection thing so that it would set up. Right, there's the website collection.
right? And this is called inside the configuration fixture. Thank you. I'm over here now. To, yeah, make sure everything's working. All right. And we tried to do this whole set up an auth ticket so we could work there. Yeah. Okay. I can finally dive back into actually writing stuff on this get started section of the website. Components. Yeah, startup. So we added step 1 that is basically, here's the intro. We could have a, the features that we want to add. Right. Should have left the 07 milestone up. Create first user with admin access. Select database config. That's not happening right now. Select theme. Yeah, that's not happening yet. But set name for the site. Set logo for the site. Set a fav icon. We can do some of those items. We can do some of those now. But we need to add those features. The name for the website we do have. So we can do, let's, do I put a first form here that appears after that? Let's start with some basics. : what is the name for your cool new website? ? All right, let's clear this up. No, you didn't put the colon in there, right? I forgot to check. Do I have is the keyboard cam working? Yeah, it is. We can turn that on. There it is. Right? There you go. So let me stop the debugger. Add a simple form, a simple text box to collect the application name. Application name, website name. Right. And come on, Copilot. Yeah. No. Add a simple text box to collect the website name. You're not going to do it for me. So Copilot Chat is getting better. Wait do you see how it levels up here? Not today, but getting there. All right. Yeah. Do it.
Developers.
Oh, thank you for the follow.
Developers.
It is just chat. It's Chat GPT with a couple layers on top of it that is tuned specifically for working with code. It's been optimized and trained on the public source code on GitHub. Yeah. No, that's You started. Thank you. We should probably put a button after that so that save and go to the next step. Right? Sure, that's fine. I need a button. Okay, sure. I need a button. Yeah. That'd be great. Thank you. It's not set website name. Site name equals, and it's not just that, but it's right. So, I'm not even gonna. Let's call this save and continue. Yeah, I know that doesn't exist yet. Go create it. Thank you. Right, and go ahead. Is that it? No, that's not. I think it was just. Yeah, site name. I don't have a startup step 2. Do I need that? It's probably a good idea. Really? Control dot isn't going to work for me there? You're not going to suggest? Yeah, I know. And control period doesn't work anymore. I'm going to do a JSON ignore on that. Plugins, add plugin. Put it in here. Yeah. Nope. Public int. Startup step. Yeah. That's not bad. So back over here. If startup is completed, navigate to this. This is step 1. Not quite. If startup step does not equal 1. You were so close. If it does not equal 1, no, let's say if it's greater than 1, then we're going to navigate to, yeah, I think that works. So, oh, you want Comic Sans, do you? Have a good one, Dr. Cox. Yeah, I don't... Like... Yeah, there's a thing. Yeah, I'm going to need to debug that later. Okay. So I set the startup step, which hangs in memory. I'm not saving the state yet. But let's navigate to the next step. Nav manager. Yeah. which will take us to step 2, and we'll start building what step 2 is. And eventually we'll say startup completed when we get to the end. So, no, I like doing that. And we'll call this step 2 Resor. Thank you. And I'm going to copy some of this to get us started here. Step 2, initial appearance. Right, something like that. No. I do want a paragraph. Let's next configure some things that are going to help with the initial appearance of your website. You can change these later, so don't worry if you don't, not if you don't have a name yet. So don't worry if you want to make changes later. And close that. Okay. So the next things were allowing you to upload a logo and allow you to specify a fav icon. Do I have the logo? Oh, and this is step 2, right? Think, Fritz, think. Oh, also, hang on. I don't need to force. I don't need to do a force load on that. Same thing with this one. I don't need to do a force load. But I do need to do this check. Now, I could create a base component that is startup page component, right? So here I want to say if startup step does not equal 2, go to that other one. But I think I also want to do, yeah. Yeah, I think that's okay. All right. So I'm going to do a file upload for an image and a fav icon. I don't know if I have a place to put that stuff yet. Let's save what I've got so far. Sharp site, web, components. Adding completed, right? Initial page, I think. Oh, you know what would be fun to put? Initial appearance of, and let's actually put your site name here. Let's get some that are going to help with the initial appearance of your website. So that it's kind of friendly and remembering, oh yeah, you wanted to call this site Foo. Let's make sure it shows that properly. So we want Hamster Voice and Comic Sans. See, this is... Hi. There we go. Let's start with some basics. What's the name for your cool new website? You can change this later. Don't worry if you don't have one yet. So let's call this Fritz's Evil Emporium. Emporium. Next. And it didn't do anything. I thought you were going to navigate. Interactive render mode. Go ahead, take a look at the hat. Go ahead. Interactive server. Now, why isn't it giving me the type ahead on that? Okay. Fritz's Evil Emporium. No, it's still not navigating. Why? One click, save and continue. Like, is there an error happening? No. It's not picking up on the click at all. Yeah, there's something with it's got to be something in OBS that's not playing my sound effects. Because I can go there. It didn't play that either. Because the user didn't interact with the document first. This thing is what's going on. Helps if I do a command. That came out of this browser. It didn't come out of OBS. Right. Oh. Right, there's a... Most browsers block any audio, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Add a start button, it displays the page and starts the music. Yeah, I don't want that. The error is currently showing a link to this page. Chrome keeps track of the individual's propensity to consume media on a site. Yeah. Right, so It has Chrome embedded. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. That's playing from this browser. Right, if I refresh that and run it again, it's not going to play because I didn't interact with the document first. Even though it's a local host. So has added the site to their home screen on mobile or installed the PWA on desktop. About media engagement internal page. Autoplay, no user gesture required. You can also decide to make sure autoplay is never allowed. Disable preload media engagement. No. Min sessions, lower threshold, upper threshold. Yeah, shows and there's no data. So autoplay policy, document user activation required. Can I change that? OBS autoplay policy. No. Allow autoplay and sound. No, that's not it. Try starting OBS with autoplay policy. No user gesture required. I can't restart this. Should have this fixed in OBS 26.1.2. No. In the OBS browser repo. Yeah, I can't restart this. I don't know if it's OBS or if it's the browser update, because I installed an update to Chrome. But, right, Chrome is showing autoplay policy, right? Disable autoplay. I don't want to see your video. Connection is secure. Sound. I don't want to see this garbage. I mean, it's a local host. Sound automatic default. Allow.
Oh my.
So that worked over here. So let's try that again. No, I've got to change the way that I start. I got to change the way that I start OBS so that it right, browser source audio, and then it gets into that document and search just isn't finding it. Yeah, browser source audio. That's from 2022. Yeah, go away. From 2024. Uninstalled and uninstalled 31.2. Reinstall the older version. Yeah, right. We'll install this in quiet mode. Go to Windows Security. Wow. Run OBS as admin. Settings, advanced sources, enable browser source hardware. Add the browser link. In the audio mixer, set audio monitoring to monitor only. No browser inputs. Change the scene back to the original scene. No. I don't think that's it either. 2 years ago, folks were having this issue. They're saying it's monitoring. I don't think it's monitoring. I'm almost positive it's not monitoring. No. No. It's something with the permission. And yeah. Mm-mm. No. No, I don't. Alert boxes have no audio. Control audio with OBS enabled. Yeah, I've got that. Yeah. Yeah, that's not working. No. Mm-mm. No. Yeah, I think I need to pass that argument in when I start OBS, which means I can't do it right now. So, I need to move on. I've spent way too much time digging on that. So, and this for some reason isn't triggering either. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy that on click isn't going through. Like, right, it's interactive server, not server interactive. Right? Yeah. Interactive server. I had it right. Come on now. Okay. Fritz's website. Why isn't... Seriously. On click. Am I getting an error here in the browser? Unexpected token. Oh no. Did I clobber this with my routing? Messages. Yeah, show me all. Okay. It's not sending any messages back and forth. Let's turn that back on. No, that's not clicking and doing anything either. That's browser link. I'm not on browser link, but I'm trying to do the interaction with the site here. Right, that should step through. Yeah, go ahead. This is now requesting Blazor Web.js. That's fine. We can pin this. Blazor initializers. Oh. Oh, that's gonna fail. Yeah. Okay. So I also need to let underscore Blazor go through here. My middleware right? Jump there. Okay. Right, it's okay to make requests to those. So it wasn't starting the Blazor connection because it wasn't bringing any of that stuff. So all right, let's see what we get. So it's trying to go to the root of the website. Start step 1, that's okay. That's a JavaScript file, that's okay. The Blazor file, so that should pass through. Yeah, that goes just fine. Underscore Blazor, that's fine. Underscore Blazor. So now I should be able to say, there we go. Now we've got the hookup. And it should route appropriately going to step 2. There we go. All right. All right. Ugh. Middleware is just clothing. It's not outerwear and not underwear, just middleware. It's that undershirt you wear underneath your nice formal shirt so you look good going out. How you doing there, Robert Tables? So I would have additional stuff in here we're going to add. I don't think we need that to be an H1. Yeah, that's... let me see. Let's make this an H2 here. Yeah. All right. And I see a couple of requests here for hamsters and Comic Sans. Okay. We're good. So the next items were logo and a fav icon. And then we'll mark it as complete. No. We want to upload a... Does the layout... Right, and I fully appreciate that some of this stuff is going to move and go away. Like, nav menu, I think, is where the icon is. Yeah, there it is. And right now it's hard-coded to logo WebP. If you upload an image at startup, I think we're okay to put that in the image folder because it's you setting it up and you're in kind of single user mode at that point. So I think security-wise, I'm okay to write that in the image folder. No, that's not what I want. Let's select a logo. for your website. And I know I'm kind of forcing the logo location right now, and the theme should help move the logo around. This will be used in the header of your website. Once you have uploaded the logo. Not bad. I've already got that here. Move it down there. Okay. I forget, is that a byte array? What is binding on an upload? I think it's file upload. Or input file. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, McNets. Hello. Let's try add a div to show the logo that was uploaded. Sure. That's fine. We need a next button. Yep. I could probably do, like, just a complete for right now. Right? Private. Yeah. I think we say startup completed true. That's fine. Yep. But we don't. Yeah. Save. Oh, we need to await that. All right, fine. Async task, and we'll await this. I don't want to write it in there. That's okay. I don't mind Napalm. Should we limit the size of the logo file? I'm not concerned about it now because you're in single user mode. You're at startup time. You're moving an image on your system. I don't really care, you know? But we're uploading content. We're not writing content directly into the dub root folder, right? We built the whole plugins folder so that it would mount underneath of there.
so that you could mount a volume if this is running inside a container and it's sitting somewhere else. Right, so here we have this plugins dub root. As a location. Oh, thank you, Pit Trip, man. You love this? I'm glad you're enjoying. Right? Building and designing how user uploaded content lives next to the prescribed content that we build inside the application is a tricky bit we need to go negotiate here. So everything's open source. You can check it out and download it with that link below. Thank you, Pit Trip, man. Where do I write the custom logo that you upload? It's not a plugin, but the plugins folder is very much something, a volume that you're going to mount. Do we have a content folder that we create and then you can mount like a volume as well? So you'll have two volumes. Right now we have one volume to mount plugins. Do we add a content folder that you mount and you could then have a shared location across multiple containers? What do you think, chat? Sharing volumes across containers feels weird. Right? You can't. Can you share volumes across containers? Bad idea unless you're using an elastic file system. That's what I was afraid of. Can you share volumes across Docker containers? You can attach the volume to them. What concerns should I have about sharing volumes across containers? No, this is 07. For my website, I would like to allow users to upload images, period. Those images should then be available to the multiple container instances that are running. So, two of them, each pointing to the same folder. Handle the file uploads with the web app. And truthfully, if folks are using containers, I don't expect them to be using the file system. I would think they would be using a more robust file storage service like Azure Blob Storage, S3, database file storage. They would be using something else to better share files across them. So maybe I should be using the file storage API and not the plugin manager. Yes, that's the answer. Right? That plugin would then need to be configured at startup. Right? We have a... Yeah. I handle file storage. And we want to add file. We're adding the logo. So we'd want to add file and make that visible, make that, and honestly, I forget how we built the file storage. Base folder name, section name. Right, we added in file API, here it is. API files, and when you request a specific file inside of it, get that file off of the path. So our logo is going to be sitting at /API/files logo. Not terrible, right? So is choosing we need to choose our file provider then before we allow you to upload logos. We don't have a way to deliver and show those yet. Let me park this until after we have that capability. Right, there's an order of operations that's happening here. Hey, how you doing there, Eric? Chat room, let's talk this through. Chat, I need your help. Hands on the keyboard, let's talk about this. Choosing plugins, particularly the first class of plugin, second class of plugin, and the first for that matter, for theme, default theme, initial theme, and file storage, right? The first two classes of plugins that we've defined for SharpSite are things that you want to be able to choose during the startup experience. Right? We can agree to that, right? We don't have a way to deliver those yet. So that and we also don't have choices in those things yet. So I think until we get the plugin delivery mechanism, right? We have the ability to use plugins, and you could probably go out and right, we could have plugins sitting on a website somewhere, even sitting in GitHub. Choose, download, and upload. That's a pain in the neck. We could deliver the website with those two initial plugins hard-coded. Right? Like, here they are, they're attached. For milestone 0.7, this is what you're getting. Right? We could kind of force that. Right? Do we want to force that plugin? Or and this kind of makes us look at, okay, milestone 0.8 is plugin store, and start enabling more plugins, as well as setting up the Sharp site organization on GitHub so that we can have separate repositories for different Sharp site plugins, the Sharp site website, the Sharp site source code, and move into that space. I think that makes sense. Combined with... Sounds simple. I hope it is, Tech Workbench. I hope it is. We're just going to take everything that we have in one repository right now, and we're going to turn it into a whole darn organization, and we're going to have stuff here, there, and everywhere, and it's going to be great. I don't know. And then, profit. Monorepo is always a nightmare for new developers. Why do you say that? Always start with the default. Agreed. Agreed. And then give folks the ability to choose from a number of registered plugins. I don't see an issue with... I don't see an issue with the file system plugin being packaged and deliver. Does WordPress offer anything like this? There is a startup wizard with WordPress, yes. It doesn't prompt you for those plugins until the end. It assumes it's putting everything into its own database. Database is its own plugin we've got to configure. Right? What database would you like to use? Here's the default one that we have available that's in the package. And here you can go download some others. So having the file system plugin in the package, right? By default, probably okay. WordPress does have a marketplace, yes. Many different ones, and there are always different flows to run before starting. Oh, Tech Workbench. Give me a second. We'll show you here. We have that problem solved with .NET Aspire. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Which plugins should be treated as first-class citizens and get delivered installed from the start? I don't want to call them first-class citizens. I know where you're going with that. But I think we want to either refer to them as system plugins or default plugins or base plugins, right? Like, first class let's pause on that term. I know where you're going with that, and it's a good term for it, but I want to hold off on that because I think it is some semblance of community blessed, right? First party plugins that we want to indicate, we will want to be able to highlight and say, these are approved and validated by the community. And they're built in the SharpSite community and under our and have been overseen by our SharpSite community. So to Mithin's point, I think I would call those first party, maybe not first class, but right in that space, right? And then there's some that are behind a paywall. There are some that are going to be behind a paywall to help fund where we're going to put all this stuff. We got to put all this stuff somewhere. There you go. Tech Workbench. What do you see? What do you see? Are you ready for this? We're going to get into that. Am I a Ravenclaw? I think so, Raventhorn. I think I am. Yeah. Go ahead and run the hat command and it'll tell you. Could I have a list of basic plugins that are commonly used on projects so the person responsible can start fresh? Oh, Tech Workbench. Oh my gosh. Let me show you something. We literally just merged a pull request from one of our community members here, Lucy, and she provided exactly that. Here's some extensions that we recommend you use with Visual Studio Code. We also want to put in there a dev container configuration. So if you want to run locally and maybe you don't have the .NET tools installed, it will configure all the .NET tools for you inside that dev container so that you can work locally, check it out, and make that decision. Yeah, I want to work on the metal with this instead of inside a container with VS Code. You are right on the path that we've been thinking. Yes. Docker Compose is almost what .NET Aspire does. In that case, I don't see why file system plugin can't be part of this system. Yeah, I ship as part of this system. Can we qualify the file system plugin as shipping with the system? That way, right? It's let's make a comparison to Visual Studio, right? We're used to Visual Studio. Visual Studio comes with a plugin for .NET MAUI, right? Comes with a plugin for Android, right? You can choose to run it. It's there, it's in the box, it's with the setup. You can choose to run it, and that also allows Visual Studio to version it in the future. Feels like there's more of an invite to replace that one sooner. Yeah. And Mythin, to that point, and Tech Workbench, we're gonna dive back in, and I'll show you a little bit of .NET Aspire here in a second. By default, since we only have the file system plugin, after we do name your site, we'll inject step 2 in the future when we have more file storage plugins. And we'll say, okay, we're going to store files for your site. Where would you like them to be stored? Azure Blob Storage, Amazon S3, local. And if you choose one of the other ones, let's go fetch that from the repository. Or, I mean, the plugins are small enough. Or maybe it's shipped with it and just pick it up off disk and use that one. Let's go that way. Let's go that way and assume that the file system plugin is installed by default. Which means when we package the application, we're going to want to package the current version of the file system plugin. Right? When So when we finish, when we do our build process, right, we're going to build the Docker container. We need to put the file system plugin inside the container. Can somebody create an issue for that? You know, would it be a good idea to have an adapter to choose where the file system will store? Yes. And that's a little bit of what we built. Yes. Let me head back over to the code and we'll talk about that. You have a blogging engine for one of my previous projects? I do. It could be really refactored to act as a plugin, and I'm really feeling like refactoring the eShop demos to make it a plugin. Oh, okay. Where'd it go? The file system. So the iHandle file storage interface knows how to get a file, how to get a collection of files, add files, remove files. And the initial plugin that we have for the file system, right, these have configuration sections. So for file system storage, you can specify a base folder name. Where would you like these to be stored? And it will place that, and it's going to move it in the plugins folder, create a directory in that location, and it will give it that name inside the plugins folder so that we can work with it. What about the app downloading the plugin on the fly? Exactly. That's another level that do we do that for 08? Do we do the plugin shop and right, the plugin marketplace, and the ability to download from the marketplace new plugins or update new plugins? Yeah, the marketplace. Yeah. I'm going to back up just a second here. I'm going to just let's do the real quick .NET Aspire discussion here. So .NET Aspire lets you define the topology of your application using C#. No YAML. If you want to use YAML, sure, you can do that to define containers and whatnot. But after you define that topology, when you launch your application, it starts up, brings together all the things, including extra containers that you might need, and puts them on a dashboard like this. Now you can see I'm running Postgres from Docker. I'm running the Docker Postgres container, and I'm running the pgadmin container inside of Docker locally, and I mounted a database instance inside of it, and I can take a peek in. It's still trying to get started here. Come on now. I can see my console over here. Yeah, starting the mail system. You were supposed to stay running there. But my website is down here running as well. And it's connecting and pulling all those pieces together. Are you going to finish running there? All of my logs are structured, and I can see them in one place here, which means I can filter and search through them and find everything across all of the parts of my system in one location. And this is a very simple system for now. I've also got traces that I can see that run distributed across the entire ecosystem, so I can see it reached into the database, and I can even take a look at that log and see exactly what it did. It went to go find content. Why did it go find content? It was going to step 1. So here's something that we might want to take a look at. Why is it trying to load content for pages here? It shouldn't be doing that when I was trying to navigate to the front page. So there's something not quite there. But I also get metrics for free coming out of this. This is all being done with OpenTelemetry. So for .NET applications, I can see, here's my performance one, request duration. Right? I can see all of my requests coming back and forth, interacting with the website. and it's logging with OpenTelemetry. Now, this works really good with .NET here. Let me turn off my keyboard cam so you can see that. This works really good with .NET. However, there are also plugins so you can work with PHP and Java and Node.js and Python. So you can extend and add capabilities. And Rust language, right? You can use Rust with this as well, right? That plug in and run those. And if you want to run your own Docker containers, you can start those up and mount them as part of the application system. So we've solved the mono repo problem where, gosh, there's so many things that are inside this repository. How do we manage? How do we coordinate all of them? They're described using C#. So we've got a compiler validating things for us. We're able to clearly specify, run the SharpSite website. We're going to call that host web front end. And it's right there. And it's mounted in using a host locally here. I'm passing into it a reference to our database. I'm telling it, wait for database migrations to complete. Set up the end-to-end testing command if I want that, and expose this for ingress. This is other things that I have down here for running and starting and managing the website that's custom to me. Yeah, and I moved all the database configuration over here. So I can say add Postgres. So add Postgres, name my database. Specify the version of Postgres. I hard-coded it in a constant up here because I don't like having strings floating through my configuration code. Run that database all the time. Don't shut it down in between runs. Here's the data volume of the container that it's going to be running in to mount, so I always get the same content. Run pgadmin with it, and pgadmin, I always want the latest version. Don't shut it down in between instances, and its parent is the database server. That's something we just started to be able to do here in the last version of .NET Aspire, the current version. So my pgadmin, there it is nested under the database. So it doesn't litter the list of things here. I can filter and zoom right in on my database, right? And I can see all the things that belong to the database that are named database. So all kinds of things that we can do here. And right, I have start and stop buttons next to all these things. I can stop the pgadmin. I can restart it all from this dashboard that gets me going, right? Regarding GitHub and turning SharpSite into a GitHub organization, if someone would work on a project alone, what would the organization thingy benefited? Where did the containers run? 1 second, McNets. Mythin. What the GitHub organization would do by taking SharpSite and promoting it from a project to an organization, we would be able to pull out the plugins as separate projects inside the organization. As the plugin website grows, the plugin marketplace grows, that would be a separate project in the organization so that you can see that. Where do the containers run, McNet asks. Docker? Yes, they do run in Docker Desktop. If you're running on a Mac or a Linux machine, you're running Docker natively. There it is. So here's Docker running. And if you look at my list of running containers, there's pgadmin running for Aspire. There's my Postgres database. Stream Tools is what I use to run the chatbot here. Olam is still running out there from when I was working with that last night. I'm going to shut that down. And my Olama cache I was using last night, shut that down also. 101% my chatbot is using right now. What? That's not right. That's not right. So, it's all running, yeah, on... Now, maybe you don't like Docker, maybe you like Podman. There's a environment variable you can switch and it would use that instead. Would the file system be a middleware where you can choose the target location? Yes, it is. It is a plugin that adheres to, so the file system
is a plugin that gets loaded. Where is it? And we map the file API with the plugin manager. There it is. Activate the plugin manager here, and there's configuration in there to pick up and use those. And for files, we have a file API here that sets up that endpoint that folks would want to request to interact with those files, and it goes and gets the interface that it goes and gets what's been provided by the plugin that implements iHandle file storage and allows you then to interact with that file provider. So it is a piece of middleware that we are managing, not ASP.NET, so that we can control the start and stop, inject it, and activate it and turn it off appropriately. Of course, the WCF SOAP plugin, if somebody wants that, I mean, you could. You could. Testing project with Spire. Okay, cool. Why is the database PG admin showing with a red check? It just takes a long time to start. That's why I'm trying to tell it to stay persistent. Like, you don't need to knock that down and restart. But there's PG admin. Ooh, there's a 9.1 version. Like, let's go pull the latest version of that. Not Postgres. Sharp sites, schemas, public, tables. Notice none of my tables are named Robert. Yeah, that's a thing. And you can see the very simple list of content that we've been building here in test mode. Did I follow the Mozilla controversy? Yes. Not happy about it at all. I am not happy about it at all, Pen Flinger. And I'm going to end up moving off of Mozilla. And I'm a big cheerleader for Mozilla, but the things that they're doing with for those that don't know, Mozilla is attempting to say that they will have worldwide unlimited rights to anything that you key in to their browser. So Docker system pruned and image pruned, totally we can do some of that. I'm gonna go get that latest of the PG admin image. Right, look at all these old images out here that it's built and they're just yeah. Where did it go? I'm looking for PG admin. Yeah, look, older versions from a long time ago. We can get rid of these. Really? You're going to take that long? Like, yeah, we're going to need to stop. I'm going to go knock these down. Where'd it go? PG admin. See, it didn't stop it. Oh, that's fine. You can go away. We're going to delete everybody here. I don't want to delete latest. Latest. Pull a new one. And I'm purposely using the UI here. Let's see here. Should that path be an option to be available on the builder middleware? I don't understand. What's your vision there? So there's 814, there's the latest. Why is it saying this is running? Can you show me where it's running? Is there an option to see who's running this? View container usage. Yeah, these are fine to kill. It's PG admin. It's fine. 100.13. That's a lot of percentages. You know what I'm saying? 814. Yeah, goodbye. All right. So now I've got the latest one. Go restart it. Do I allow links? Yes, I do. Sounds like they didn't have a choice with CCPA. Oh. Your ERP uses WCF and SOAP at work. That's not terrible. So, yeah, the bot inspects and reports what's at that link. So, what you type in your browser is not for the faint of heart. Well, guess what? And here it is, starting up the new PG admin. And it's already been past configuration for the database that I already have it attached to. So, ads started. We got ads for the next 2 minutes. There we go. So there's pgadmin 9.1 databases, and there's SharpSite. All my security stuff, right? Pages, and there's the page. Fantastic. All right. Yep, ads. They happen. They're a thing. So if I just assume that the how do we package and deliver? Well, I already have it installed for me locally. So I could inject, right? I handle file storage. Yep, give me one of those. And let's go to the end. It's not logo PNG. And no. Add file. How do I know what the type of the file is? Right, so I can give it a good file name. Oh, come on now. I have a stream and file metadata. That's what it is. All right, so we have the stream, which is logo. New file metadata. So we have a file name, the content type, and the create date. This is also hard coding the image type here. That's going to be annoying. So this is going to need one of these at the end. After we put another one of those. Yeah, no. That should be awaited. You upgraded from a 2012 WPF WCF server client server project to the new SDK style. Yeah, that's like, come on, you're doing the upgrade, do it. Damn. How do I get that image type? I have the image. No, I didn't put down image magic. Or what's it called? The one image library. So how do we detect the image type so that we get that appropriate information about the image? I mean, right now I could just force this to image PNG, which I'm not opposed to. Just to get something built. Right, and then we can extend it later. Content type, image, PNG. And create date, no. Date time offset, no. So, we've got a logo, right? Allow initial configuration with a logo of different image types. We will need to detect the content type of the image, as well as allow different content types to be loaded with the input file component. Period. Yeah. Allow the site logo to be maintained in admin UI. So, as Microsoft created Blazor, why is it not used by Microsoft themselves for all these sites? So, Fox, that's a question we get a lot. Give me 1 second here. Let me save that. Commit those changes, and we can talk about that in just a second here. Completed initial upload of site logo. Still need to be able to choose that site logo in the configuration, in the theme. We'll get there. So let's come back over here. Let's talk for a second here. Fox McCloud with a question. Since Microsoft created Blazor, why don't they use Blazor on their own websites, their own products? Here's the deal. Blazor was just released 5 years ago, right? 5-6 years ago. 2019. all these other websites were built and were rolling out there. Blazor is used in the .NET website. Blazor is part of the live.net website. It's part of some of the other parts of the .NET website. So it's not used for some of these other applications because, quite frankly, there's other technologies that those teams were off and running, using, and building with from some time ago. And to pivot and migrate those things to Blazor wasn't a business decision that they needed to make. That said, I can share that there are some Microsoft products that are looking at migrating to Blazor. I can't tell you which ones. If they choose to after their migration share that, that's up to them. But we would love for them to share some of that information about which websites they do upgrade and migrate to Blazor. But for right now, there's content management systems that manage what's on the public-facing Microsoft website. There's and those are managed and written by other folks. There are different tools, different sets of web coding that have been built and optimized over years and years and years that run the M365 apps online, that run some of the other interactive websites online. You mentioned the Azure Portal. Azure Portal's been around for 10 plus years. So that was built and established long time ago. So to be able to extend and grow that with Blazor in the future, I don't know if that's in the cards. We'd be flattered if they did go in that direction. But right now it's built with React is what I think they built that one with. You feel like something as big as the Azure Portal might be a large technical challenge to migrate with limited value. So here's the thing with the Azure Portal. The Azure Portal has hundreds of little plugins that make up each of those blades that folks use to give you the features and interactions that you need for each one of the Azure services. So each Azure service has a different plugin that's managed and installed separately from the Azure Portal framework to deliver those interactions. So when you're managing Azure Storage, right? The Azure Storage team manages what we call them blades, the different menus that snap into the portal for those. For that team to change technology, maybe it's Blazor, maybe it's Vue, maybe it's whatever, some other technology. To do that migration isn't just a crack team of 5 SWAT developers that are going to parachute in and jump out of their helicopter and go fix all the things. There's hundreds of teams that are involved, and each team, it has 4 or 5 developers that built that portion of the Azure Portal. So it's a lot more to migrate these massive applications. You're right. It would be amazing if they did. There is a significant amount of inertia there that for those applications are not forcing their hand to migrate it. They've got other value to deliver that they don't need to. And that's a business decision that anybody needs to go through, and that I think we can all appreciate, that migrating and using a new technology for the sake of the new technology isn't a good business decision. However, when you do have an opportunity, and because there is some scenario that's forcing your hand to choose a new technology, to make that decision, to acknowledge you're going through a migration process, what are we going to do here? Yeah. Then making that decision for at that time absolutely is something that you need to go through. So let me catch up here. Surely the recent price hike on O365 is to fund the migration to Blazor. No. You've always been biased to React by clients, so you haven't touched much on Blazor. So React and Angular are the two that I primarily hear. And it's they built Facebook with React, so it must be good. I like using Facebook, so they built it with React, so it must be good. And it is a really good framework. A lot of the internet applications out there run on React. No doubt. The policies and politics of Facebook have caused some organizations to question their choice of that technology. Do I have a quick reference for ramp up on Blazor? Go to blazor.net. There's some tutorials, there's some ramp up guides there, there's some videos that might feature somebody that you see here. It's Blazor, I think you'll find is it's a component-based architecture that building the user interfaces for somebody who knows React should feel familiar. Should. Yeah, what does it buy you other than saying you're using Blazor? Yeah. For the purposes of Azure Portal, it's probably not going to buy much. The things that I would lean into for something like that would be some of the type safe checking that you get because you're using a compiled language instead of JavaScript. But then again, they're building with TypeScript. So they're already getting some of that. Some of the testing, some of the other capabilities. They've got a very long pipeline to build features that get delivered into the Azure portal. Where I would lean in there is I would have a standard toolkit so that things like password text boxes all had the same feature. It's obscured by default for a password or a key. It has a copy to clipboard button next to it by default, and it has an eyeball button to reveal the text as clear text as a second option that's available there. So providing that type of standard component would be one of the reasons that I would look at using Blazor, but you can do that with React and the JavaScript frameworks as well. So, migrations are always grounds to sharpen your writing skills and stakeholders before you even touch code. Totally agree. Do I have Storybook for Blazor? I don't think so, because Storybook's a JavaScript tool. I've seen some folks tinkering with and building some things. Where that goes, I can't really address. I don't know. Your preferred way to organize structure of your Blazor application. You do page directive code. You had a thing where you had to rename a page, and I had to rename a lot of hrefs, which resulted in many missed 404s. What's my view on this issue? Let's talk about that. Let me head back over to SharpSite, and I can show you a little bit of where I went with something similar. So there's this idea, and what Fox is referring to there. Let me see. Where did I put it up in here? No. I had. Yeah, here we go. I started. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Yes. I started down this idea
Yes, this is all Blazor. And Blazor sits on top of ASP.NET. So ASP.NET is our server, does our middleware, runs all of our interactive server stuff. Blazor does our front end, but Blazor can run in 3 places. It can run interactively on the server. It can run interactively in the client with WebAssembly. And it can do both. Your choice. So, we had this idea of, I'd like to hard code some of the route values. So here, like the post admin page, by placing it in one place here, I have, right? Yeah. I can place that route here to specify this is the page location of this, right? Normally, let's close some of this other stuff. Normally, you specify here's the page route about SharpSite, right? And it's very clear, it's right there. But by doing it this way, I've hard coded that page location in a constant so that I can reference and move that address around the website. And not only does the page update, but other places that I referenced this, that's the only place right now, but other places that I've referenced that will pick up and show that same appropriate link so they're connected together. And I don't have magic strings lingering around. So let me do, where is it? The manage nav menu here, right? Is it pages or posts? Posts. No, come on. Posts. This one. Right? So I can do, right? Route values. Admin post list. So it has the same hard-coded location. Let me flip this so it says it's running. Not in there. Not in the end-to-end test. Source. Web. Here. Right, it's startup completed. Yeah. Right. Is that right? Where the heck did I put it? I need to put these things. Yeah, startup completed. I need to put these things kind of in order here, reorganize that a little bit. WebAssembly auto, server-side rendered, confused me. We'll get into that in a little bit. Similar to good old ASP.NET MVC. Similar, right? MVC is the framework that's running on top of ASP.NET. Would it be an idea to have a middleware to pull a config file as reference for paths? No. Because users are going to upload and create content, put that in the database. I'll show you. So if I go to log in and we use our admin at localhost, admin 123, right? And I go into site admin. So posts admin goes to the appropriate location, admin posts, and I get my posts admin page. So, right, to Fox McCloud's point, I can now change this to go wherever I want and update the way that this routes. So if we decide not to call this post, we decide to call this foo bars, right? Foo bars, the delicious chocolate snack that everybody can enjoy. Foo bars. So we'll restart that. This is going to rejoin the server. Fairy Wings!
Fairy Wings just resubscribed for 77 months. Runs in resubs, runs away.
Thank you so much, my friend. 77 months! Fairy Wings has been doing creative content over there on her stream. She's been a longtime friend and helped me a little bit in getting my feet wet and getting into creative and doing non-gaming content here on Twitch. Thank you so much for the resub. 77 months. Robson Previato is here as hello as well. Hello. Here, let me I did a save there. It should have. Oh, we're gonna have to restart. Yeah. And we'll get that running. So, you've also done the pass to write middleware for Next.js to create dynamic routes coming from a headless CMS. So headless is another thing that we've talked about here, but those steps are a little bit further down. Not completely wrong, but a little bit more sophisticated than what we're doing right now. We'll get there. Admin at localhost. Thank you so much. How you doing, Fairy? So let me do the login, and if I go back to site admin, we go to post admin, you'll see it's at /admin/foobars. So we can change it in one place, and all of our route references and the page all get it in one place. So yes, Casper, type safe routes. Not entirely perfect, right? Because what I want is something like this, where I want to be able to provide some formatting and other capabilities to it, and it's not quite there. It's not quite there. There's more work to do to figure this out, and this is kind of a side discussion to figure out type safe routes. We'll get there. It's not a thing for right now. Where'd it go? So we were in admin and we had, what was it? Right, there's post list. So there's like a page list. I mean, I don't mind adding page list in here while I'm, right? Page list. Right? /admin/pages. Right? So I can grab that and public const string admin page list. Yeah, just like that. Right? So, right? We're going to use that exact same structure. So instead of page, we're going to say admin page list. And there we're specifying the route to get to this location. So, and then if I go back to my manage nav menu, right, I can change this as well to, right, route values, admin page list. And now I've got the same location in my menu and over here, which, right, I could eventually move this concept of route values out into a shared common library so that plugins can access that list and generate links from their plugins appropriately, so that plugins can add to that list. There's all kinds of things like that that we'll want to figure out at some point for flexibility. We're just at that really early stage where we want to get something working so that if you like our theme, if you like our base configuration, you can use it. So we're adding features, and we're kind of setting some what we think are sensible defaults to start, and then we'll slowly remove those defaults and make them extensible. And our plugin manager is the gateway for some of those things. Maybe those hard-coded paths can be used for endpoints. Imagine moving from endpoint to /API/endpoint. Let's do that for the file API right now. Take care, Napalm. Admin section needs the first theme as well. Yes. Payload CMS is a next-gen CMS. That's fine. We'll allow that through. Interesting CLI to set up your website. Love the idea of a CLI to set up the website. And in fact, we've already specified the ability to set up and upload an application state into the application. So there's definitely things there that we're inspired by that we can totally get into. It's early in the it's way early in the game. And quite frankly, SharpSite's construction and maintenance is like my third priority project that I'm working on. Like, I've got other projects that I'm working on when I'm off stream that are a higher priority than this one. So, that things that I need to get done. Like, it's not a question of timing or something like that. No, I need to get these other things done. So, no. So, right. So this is open source, so anybody can pick up and contribute ideas. But the APIs make sense to, right? So I have that file API with this here. Right, and there it is again, hard-coded there and there. So I don't mind adding that. And let's call this like base file API. Yeah, that's right. API/files. So then if I go back to here, right? And right now it's a hard-coded value, but in the future, sure, we could load that from a configuration JSON file or database or something. Totally agree. Using it to make some bridge mechanism for cloud services without emulators. Yes. Docker.net. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Maybe we can do that in a little bit. API files here. Let's open this up. And let's do path combine. Route values base file API. Right? So that it figures out and kind of smashes them together. I think I need a slash in there anyway. I think it'll do that. Where else? Yep, here's another one. Right? Path, combine. Right? Route values. Base file API. Cool. So for right now, it's hard-coded, but we could move that. Slash after host. The base file API has a slash at the beginning. Yeah. So I think I'm okay with that. Yeah. Is it possible to add multiple solutions to an Aspire project? No. But you can add projects from multiple solutions. Yes. And you're tiptoeing up against the multiple
Git repository, multiple source code repository question that folks have about .NET Aspire, right? Oh, I don't want to have the mono repository with all my things for my project and my solution system in one source code repository. Okay. So you have them across multiple source code repository. How do you bring them together so that you can run when you don't have Aspire? Git submodules is one way to do that. One way. Where was I? Oh, so I think at the end of step 2, we have it saving our logo, and we need to provide and say that there's a custom logo. So what if we say has custom logo? For right now, let's just do, I don't like that. We could do that. And we'll need to add, no, it's not going to do it. Let's see, up here. Put it in here. Public string has custom logo. Put these in the right order so that they, yeah. Thank you. So now what I can do, I can go over to, where was it, the navigation. Where's the logo? Right there. Right here. I'm not injecting application state. I can now. Application state. Yep, that's fine. So right here, right, we can let's do that. Yep. Oh, that's so good, but not quite. Has custom logo, and we want to do a really? Is null or empty, and I know I didn't type that right because I'm ugh. Thank you. Right, so if it is null or empty, we want to put that. Otherwise, it's going to be appstate dot has custom logo, but it's not just appstate has custom logo. No, no. It's going to be API files. Haha. Right? Yeah. So let's do path combine. Route values. Come here. Let's put this over here so everybody can see what you're doing there. Base file API. No. Back up here. Go to the end. I know. I know. I think that's it. Yeah.
That should work. I think that works. It should continue to work the same way that we have it now without doing other things. Git submodules work pretty well. You were able to build an Aspire solution to run all the Azure function integration stuff, providing data for an API locally all at once. Nice. Where do I have this extra semicolon? String is null or empty. Oh. You need to be a colon. That should do. Right? Come on now. There we go. Integration development versus unit development. Yes. Yes. Right? So when you're building with Aspire, you're doing integrated development with all the things. There we go. Restarting the website. And yeah, it works. So I've got my logo in the corner. Good. Okay. Let's also put a about sharp site in that route values list. Oh, fine. Right? Sure, we'll put it up here. Public const string about sharp site equals haha. And I can do this as attribute. Those macro keys on the keyboard, let me tell you. Route. Yeah. Route values about sharp site. And that should pick up and handle that for me. Yeah, right. We're doing integrated development, so like we can run Playwright against everything. Any tips for learning a new programming language? Write code as soon as possible. Use it as soon as you can. Right? The sooner that you start writing code that you feel good about, that you can connect to something that you created, the more that you're going to start to feel accomplished, and you're going to start to get the dopamine cycle happening. Okay, I learned this a little bit. I built something, and it works. All right, now let me learn the next little thing. Build a little bit more onto that, and it works. Oh, I didn't learn it quite right. I didn't understand it. This doesn't work quite the right way. Let me get some help. Let me go reread the course and update, and it works. Okay, move on to the next thing. Get that dopamine cycle going as soon as possible. And that's something that I tried to do with the C# in the Cards series, is get you writing code as soon as possible so that you have that success sooner than later. That's important for me, that you feel successful, even if you've only learned the very basics of working with numbers, of working with Booleans, if statements, for loops. You've got that initial success happening. So that's what I would encourage folks. All right, let me commit that last change. Ooh, look at all that. Yeah, that's fine. Added more type safe routes. So, is that all I need? I think for now. Good luck, Goku Jax. And finding a group of folks that will help answer questions, right? Or a mentor that'll assist. Really great thing. And of course, you see folks asking questions all the time
in our Discord here in chat to help encourage and point folks so they can be successful. Right, see, I even typed clear. I've got a button for that. Am I done for now? I think I'm done for now. And I think let's head back over here. We didn't do create first user, but we allowed you to set the name, set a logo, and we didn't do the fav icon either. Great point, Robson. Yeah, as you progress and you you have that little bit of dopamine from succeeding on little things, you're going to become more fluent step by step. Yeah. Infested with a great suggestion to check out Meetup for finding local tech meetups. Yep. Get to help you get started with projects. Let me move this out as an issue. Set a fav icon, and that go ahead, create that as an issue. These two I'm going to kind of ignore. Not kind of, I am. Because we don't have other configurations yet. So these are things that we're going to kind of package and push on. Same thing with themes. Until we have more themes, like, not really a thing. So this looks like, how are we doing there? Yeah, that built properly. I'll let this merge in. What did it skip? Yeah, that's fine. It's wildly incomplete, but there's things that we don't know how to do yet in the website. We haven't built yet in the website, so let's move that out for now. And I want to squash and merge. Because there's... Right, we'll mark this as fixed for the next milestone. We've got a base framework to get us pointed in the right direction for that. This we want to do, being able to extract to disk somewhere and say, okay, here, get started. We need some documentation. Default theme, we need to get that built. Yeah, that's okay. Extracted disk, I think, is not too bad for us to set up some sort of a script that folks can run next. Publish as a self-contained app, and publish a zip file, basically, so that folks can say, curl that zip file, right? Go download that zip file from the release location, extract it to some folder location, and run. What does that series of steps look like? It's not too bad to do. A little bit of documentation that's going to go with that we'll probably end up putting into here and setting up like a... Do we put it in here? Have like a public documentation location? Maybe. Let me catch up with chat over here. Magnavio, asks, what's better to read if I don't fully understand what is Aspire? There is a what is .NET Aspire section of Learn Microsoft.com. And what? There we go. And .NET Aspire is, there we go. They describe .NET Aspire as a set of tools, templates, and packages for building observable, production-ready apps. And I think that's a lot of word salad. That's a lot of stuff there. I describe .NET Aspire as a tool set that helps put into your application all the things into your application system. So .NET Aspire is a tool set that puts into your application system all the things that you want to build but don't want to build. Logging, tracing, using database and other features as containers and bringing those references in, connecting them up with references and managing all of those references and connections using code instead of strings in a markup file. It does all of those things and gives you a single entry point so that onboarding for a new application is easy to do. And you can check it out with SharpSite. Check the link at the top of chat if you're watching on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description just below. Take a look. There's discussion there that'll get you pointed to download and work with SharpSite, which is built with .NET Aspire. You'll be able to clone that repository, drop into the app host folder under source, run it, and the entire application will just start up. No questions asked. So, learning a programming language takes like 1 hour. It's learning the million constructs that already exist built with the language that takes a long time. You're not too far off there, spaghetti developer. Yeah. Learning the syntax, and then, here's how we work with the HTTP protocol. Here's how we build web pages. Here's how we serve, and so on and so forth. Yes. Using Swagger is deprecated. The Swagger has been right. Swagger in general has been deprecated and been promoted to what we call Open API now. And Open API is something that is now a standard. The tools for working with Open API with ASP.NET Core have been the previous tools that were being used, the NuGet packages. Those tools have been deprecated. Is the wrong term, but they have been superseded by tools that the .NET team manages with the .NET base class library now. Yeah, the open source project that was managing those tools was not keeping up with the technology offerings that were out there. Is what kind of like XAMPP. Aspire is not like XAMPP, no. It's harder when the language has a lot of ways to do the same thing, and none of it is standard. And in the quest for flexibility and allowing developers to write code the way that they want, you see a bit of that problem with C#. It's extremely flexible. You can do many things many different ways, so it can be confusing for new developers. I think there's a series of opinionated, sensible defaults that we can encourage with analyzers and other tools to nudge folks into a a sensible modern defaults interaction. Good example. Working with threads directly in C# code is something that you typically don't want to do in 2025. In 2005, 20 years ago, yeah, threads were great. Use threads. Thread sleep, creating a new thread, creating callbacks on threads, thread join. This was the way to work. However, 15 years ago, the ability to write tasks and the async and await keywords were innovated and built and delivered on C#. And it completely changed the way that we write asynchronous code, multi-threaded code. And that's the preferred way to do it. And many other technology stacks picked up on the syntax and capability of async, await, and tasks and have added those capabilities to their stacks as well. The ability to work with threading and do asynchronous invoke with promises is still in C#. Those capabilities are still in the language and the framework. They're not preferred because when you use async await, you're allowing the compiler and the runtime to decide the best way to run it. Should it be invoked asynchronously or not? Should it be run and wait for it to come back? The compiler and the runtime will figure that out and optimize for you. Hey, Robert, Robot Pigeon, I thought it was Robert Pigeon. Robot Pigeon on YouTube says they're a longtime lover of C# and have been building applications with it for a long time. Been watching the stream for an hour and have learned so much. Oh my gosh, Robot Pigeon, thank you. Thank you so much. And the source code's available, right? Check it out. It's a link down below. In particular, I want to encourage more folks to get into the playwright testing that we did, because I think that's something that .NET developers can learn a lot from and bring a significant amount of value into your projects. It's in the E2E folder of SharpSite. Check it out down below on YouTube. It's at the top of chat is the link to the SharpSite website, and you can click into the source code from there. There's a lot that you can add value to your website, to your web application, using Playwright. And you're going to see us do more with that as we continue to grow SharpSite here. You're welcome, Anonymous 1221. Why do we want threads in JavaScript? WebAssembly feels like we're asking for trouble. You can ditch tasks for threads. You can. Nothing says that you can't use threads. However, the modern way that we do development is we prefer tasks so that we can handle that for you. It doesn't exactly wrap threads. It doesn't exactly do that. There's a little bit of things that are going on with the compiler where it will try to optimize thread use appropriately. Robot Pigeon hasn't worked with Aspire itself or really the end-to-end Playwright stuff, so it's definitely something you'll be checking out. There is a cost to using ThreadWrite if you already have pool threads with tasks. You do. Ah, okay. Sometimes it's hard to pick up, and the mode icon helps with picking up when there's a little bit of sarcasm. Okay. Yeah, you're leaving those for your own. So let's take a quick look at the end-to-end tests and Playwright. Let's do this first. Website tests. Right, let's head over and take a look at this. It initially looks like a normal XUnit test, right? But because we've installed Playwright, we can reference and say, page, go to this location. And then we're going to go get a link from the base of the website that says about SharpSite and click it. Wait for it to load. Take a screenshot and make sure that we're on the page that says about SharpSite. Now, I've hidden some of the other setup stuff for Playwright over here So inside of a base test, right? You normally inherit from page test, but I went a little further and said inherit from my page test, and here's the base URL. So what this lets us do, I don't want to run the website. I've got a script that will run all of those tests, right? Here, build and test. And this will launch .NET Aspire, hosting my entire website. It's going to start it with this configuration, right? I've got all kinds of hooks in there. So it starts with an empty database. Clean database, apply all of my database migrations. Make sure the website looks like it's running as an existing website. And it's going to wait for the website to start here, and it should be running in just a second or two. And then it's going to run all the playwright tests in a headless manner. Now, there was mention about doing a headless CMS. I am way on board with the idea of doing a headless CMS with this. But I think that's a second or third step here. Here it is running the tests. And you can't see the... Let me just drag that up. So you can see it's running the tests. And it's going to come back in just a second and say done. And hopefully that all the tests ran successfully. If. Oh, come on! There we go. 9 tests ran all successfully. And all my screenshots. Start in the end-to-end folder, and we'll be able to see the screenshots. Right, sharp site, end-to-end, bin, debug, net9. There we go. And there's the about sharp site screenshot that it took. Open. And there's what it looked like. So I've got validation that it ran properly. You're in the ads. I'll wait. So end-to-end tests run really nice, and it comes through. And helps out there. There we go. So I like this. I like this a lot because I also have it wired up to my GitHub Actions. So that I know it ran properly. And yeah, it took 3 minutes to run all the playwright tests. I don't care. It works properly. Robot Pigeon on YouTube asks, do I have normal unit tests for code itself? I do. Great question. I do have normal unit tests. So the question from Robot Pigeon, do we have normal unit tests? Yes, they're right here. And you can see all those unit tests that I have for things like, are we generating the RSS feed properly? Are we generating the sitemap properly? And these run typically very quickly to go to the website, make sure that some of this business logic runs properly. Things like the plugin manager are notoriously a pain in the neck to test. And there we go. 6 seconds, and it all ran properly, right? Of course, it's .NET, so, right, you got that startup time. 300 milliseconds. I'm good with that. So let me back up. Tech Workbench asked, is .NET Aspire more for local development? Yes. .NET Aspire stops at the developer workstation. So with .NET Aspire here, right, if I go up to my app host, right, app host is the entry point for .NET Aspire, right? I'm declaring here's how to orchestrate and set up my application system, right? I have an inspection of the arguments to go figure out if we're in test mode, and I go add I wrote my own method here to isolate the database configuration. So all the database configuration is in a separate file, so it's clear
for this. So all the things for my local development environment are here. Well, what happens when we want to go and promote this to production space? There are secondary tools that you can add on to your .NET Expire experience to deliver to your production space. For Azure, we have a command line tool called AZD that will analyze these configuration files in your app host project and generate the bicep files appropriate to deploy to Azure. Amazon folks have built an add-on to their cloud development kit that you can add some commands into your program CS here that will compile and run with their CDK and deploy and stand up services appropriately on Amazon. Additionally, the only thing that Aspire really does for your applications is set up environment variables to pass back and forth. You can configure those environment variables in your existing deployment scripts. On YouTube, Red asks, am I using test containers? No, I am using, you can see here, I'm standing up Postgres. If I'm not in test mode and I'm working here locally, run Postgres admin, right? There it is, run Postgres admin, and set up a persistent data volume when I'm working. When I'm in test mode, don't persist the database beyond the current session, and don't set up a persisted data volume. This way, I'm testing my entire deployment experience, right? I'm doing all my test migration. Now, I could use something like test containers to provide that initial container that's already configured with some existing version of my SharpSite database. I could do that. I could totally do that. Or I could seed that data and write some code or some JSON files, or even do a PG dump, right? Postgres dump command to dump out the contents of the tables, save them somewhere, and inside my test scripts, say, flush the database and reload with this sample data and work from there, right? There's something to having the entire flow experience here, the entire growth experience, so that I'm testing not just the state of a current container, but I've got my tests also exercising the entire experience that new developers will have if they clone the repository and start working from scratch. So test containers might make sense to dial in here at some point. Not yet. For this project, not yet. We'll get there, but not quite yet. So good questions. Thank you so much there in the chat. So I am nearing the end of the time for my stream. I do have a couple channel point redemptions, and we'll get into those next time, whenever next time is. But I am yeah. Let me see here. Oh boy. Okay, that wasn't what I expected. So yeah, in the future. So right, here's the thing that I hope folks see about the development and growth of SharpSite. There's all kinds of great features that we could be building. We're not, as we build a feature, adding all the flexibility to do all the things right now. We're accepting some of that technical debt of, we're going to hard code this for this thing right now. Good example. We've hard coded the website to use Postgres right now. We know in the future, we want to be able to swap out database providers so that you can choose Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, SQL Server, Oracle, whatever it might be, right? MongoDB. Those providers in the future are going to be plugins. We didn't have the plugin architecture when we started building the website. So we just wired things up and said,
save it to Postgres for right now. We'll put the abstraction around this later. Probably with milestone 0.9, we're going to take Postgres and turn it into our first database plugin, so that maybe that isn't the one that it ships with. Maybe that's one of several database plugins Sharpsite ships with. Maybe the first database plugin we use is SQLite, so that we can have a small, very, very quick to start up version. We're going to want to have built into some of these plugins, and I started running into this as we were building here today, particularly for the file system plugin. When you swap from file system A to file system B, you're going to want some sort of migration step to run. Hey, I'm currently using the local file system, but I want to migrate and use Azure Blob Storage. Well, how do I do that? How do I migrate that? I don't want to do that by hand. So maybe our plugin needs a migrate step. What does that look like? Don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But that type of thing, and we'll see that with the database also. I worked with SQLite locally. I want to upgrade and use, I want to use DynamoDB. I'm going to use CloudDB, right? Cosmos DB. How do I migrate to those? Well, we have a plugin. The plugin should be able to read from a database plugin, should be able to migrate from another database plugin and do that copy across. How does that work? These are things that we need to think about that are phenomenal features that, yes, we want. We don't want to prevent ourselves from getting features done for the sake of adding the ultimate feature that we need at some point in the future. Let's pin that, because right now there's just, it's mostly me. There's a couple other folks that are contributing occasionally as they have some free time and as they learn something and want to write some code. We don't have a dedicated team that's actively adding features all the time. So to try and move quickly on some of those more advanced features is going to get us lost in the sauce. So let's complete a set of consistent features and then move on to, okay, now let's enhance just that one thing and make it do a whole bunch of other stuff. And then we'll enhance the next one, and so on and so forth. Do I have any tips on places to go for stream setup on sound and video? My blog had some articles about it. csharpfritz.com. The different tools and setup that I do. I don't make my OBS setup available, but I talk through the various tools, the various hardware that I have available, my Sony camera that you're seeing me on here, and some of the other things that I use. I don't talk about this microphone, but I talk about another microphone that I used at the time, and the mixer that I used at the time. I have much more advanced mixer, microphone, and other capabilities. So, Fox comments, this might be a bad practice, but I myself try to avoid libraries, extensions, and having to depend on something. The idea is that if something stops existing in the future, things won't break, but with extensions here, you mean straight up source code. Yes and no. And you are, Fox, you are stepping right into a topic that I love to talk about. Wrap those extensions. Wrap those libraries. Check out, let me head back over here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because Fox is stepping right into a topic that I love to talk about. And the repository pattern is a perfect example of this. Yeah, let's look at the page repository here. I'm working with Postgres. What library do I use to work with Postgres? Does my website need to know that? No. I can create an interface over here in my abstractions project that defines that, because I don't know what library I'm going to use to work with it. I do want to work with a Postgres context, entity framework context. That's okay for now, but I may want to shift and work with Dapper and make direct connections and direct queries against the database. So I don't know which is the best way to interact with it. What I do know is that I need those methods that are going to allow me to add a page to the database, that are going to let me go get that page from the database so that I can present that content. So by doing it this way, my entity framework context is hidden. My website doesn't care about it. Quite frankly, my website doesn't care about Postgres. I can swap that out. So to Fox's point about taking a direct dependency on a library or something like that, yes. I take, for the bot that is in Twitch chat, I take an indirect dependency on a library called TwitchLib that lets me interact with the Twitch API endpoints. I take an indirect dependency because I wrap it with a repository like this. Because when I interact with it, Twitch can change their API endpoint, right? They're going to advance things. If the library, the Twitch lib, doesn't keep up with it, well, I need to then enhance my repository, my interaction, so I use the new API endpoint. Otherwise, my stuff's going to break. So I can write it myself inside the repository. So that I can then work directly with Twitch, and then once the library catches up, I'll roll over and use the library version of things. But I don't need to. I don't need to do that, right? I have the flexibility then to change my implementation, and the website doesn't care. So using EF context, using Dapper, using some other micro ORM, cool. It's all hidden behind the repository so that I have the flexibility to change the implementation, not just the database vendor, right? Sure, there is a massive change that happens when I change my database vendor from Postgres to Mongo to RavenDB to what have you. But by hiding it behind the interface, I've got flexibility. Infested is a new follower. Click the link at the top of chat. Infested. Click the link at the top of chat. It's going to take you to the SharpSite website that has the link to the GitHub repository. Right? So if you click that link, it's going to bring you here. Scroll down, learn more. If you're interested in learning more, check out the GitHub repository. And you're in. All right? So, yeah, I want to make this as easy as possible for folks to get to and learn more about. All right? So, sorry it took a little bit to get to you, Infested, but take a look. It'll get you right in here. And if there's questions, drop me a line in the Discord. Drop me a line here in chat. Happy to answer them and get folks moving along. Great to hear. Cool. Robson Previato says that class should be internal sealed. Yeah, I think we can do something like that. Let me reset here. Let's jump over to that branch. Pull in the update. There we go. And delete feature out of the box. There we go. And yeah, go ahead and reload. Make this internal sealed. I think we're okay with that. Probably the same thing with the post repository too. Yeah. Yeah, we're probably okay with both of those doing that. The true tool engineer keywords. There is a little bit of a little bit of a performance improvement that you'll see by making your classes sealed. Little bit. It's not massive, Yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. And the only reason that we're able to do that, there you go. So, yeah, the image isn't locally here. The reason that we're able to do that is because there is a registration class here that goes and actually registers those, so I never create them directly. Yep, the internal table to be a little bit faster. You got it. Nope, you're not wrong. You got it. Yep. So, libraries are popular. It's a question of, and putting the abstraction in front of the library is a question of, particularly open source libraries, making sure that you have the flexibility if that library goes in a direction or doesn't keep up with the technology that you need, right? If it goes in a direction that you don't need, if it doesn't support or it behaves differently than you want, you can swap out that library. You can add your own handwritten code to provide the feature that you need while that library is catching up. Libraries are absolutely popular, but you might not completely agree with what it's providing. You might have extra features that you need that the library doesn't. And in order to add those, you're going to handwrite some code, and at some point in the future, the library might have that feature, in which case you'll swap it in at that time. It's all about providing flexibility. And when we write object-oriented code, those additional layers of abstraction give you flexibility to change things later. The annoying thing is when the library changes license format and becomes commercially paid. Yes. This happens. This is happening more and more in the .NET community, right? We've seen a couple of these happen with fluent assertions, right? Fluent assertions, is that right? And that is going to force people to migrate as well. Fluent validation, yeah. Fluent validation? Is that it? I think so. I can't type Discord for some reason. There you go. There's a link to the Discord. So, I do need to run. I have some other projects and things that I need to get to today. I've got some other projects that I'm working on for myself that I need to get to. And I'd like to grab some lunch. You know what I'm saying? Lunch is a good thing. So, no. Fluent validation. Fluent assertions. That's what I thought it was. Fluent assertions. They changed their license. So after, I forget what version number it is. It's like from version 23 to 24. There's a paid license that comes with it. There's my Outlook telling me stuff's coming up. Oh, good. Nobody threw anything on my calendar. Good. I've got afternoon here to work on. So, thank you so much for being a part of the stream today. I do need to wrap it up and get moving on to some other things here. Let me see who else is streaming on the big Twitch TV network that I can get you connected with. Might be doing something cool, might be doing something fun. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. I've got recordings of all my streams going back 4 or 5 months here and before that as well. Let me, you know what, let me get you connected with, let's go over to Code Rushed. That's our friend Mark Miller. Here comes the raid command. Yes. So, Mark's building extensions and features onto Visual Studio. He manages the Code Rush plugin that you can use for Visual Studio. That's available now for free from the folks at DevExpress. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back probably on Monday, for more live coding and chaos. Yeah. Look for me. I'll be playing a bunch of Overwatch. I might play some Overwatch on stream tomorrow. We'll see. But I'll be playing some Overwatch over the weekend and around. If you saw my Blue Sky, my Zarya mastery skills, I'm top 100 in the world at Zarya right now on the mastery courses. I can't believe I did it, but I did. So, get ready to say hi to my friend Mark Miller on the Code Rush channel. I will see you next week. All right? Have a good one, friends. Stay safe, code safe. I wish you good coding and good health and good coding. I forget my closing statement here. Darn it, get out of here. We got stuff to do.